Almost
No.
not.
Yeah. It's super low. But I think someone is driving by an airport. That was a little better. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Hang on, I'm going to unplug this router.
That was better.
I heard something.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little quiet.
It's low, but we can make it out.
Okay. Because I've got you turned way up here. So I'm hearing you real well. But I'm basically a non-programmer. I mean, how do you, it just, what I'm looking for more is something on how to do this stuff. For example, I sent you that script that, I don't know if you know Raptor X, but he helped me write this thing where I'm able to copy every field in a form and then dump it into a text editor, whatever I want to do. Well, you know, if you're just Joe Blow who writes macros and show run include and stuff like that, where do you learn how to do this stuff? You know, maximizes, for example, like the configs I wanted to just get rid of all the lines except the ones that included PGP configurations with passwords, so I can update those passwords, or how to do that. So the how-tos are, for me, is extremely important, but that I don't.
Let me make sure I heard your question well enough. It had to do with, obviously, it's like, you know, when you're new and you're trying to learn stuff. I know you said web form. Can you clarify? Are you talking about like from a web scraping type of perspective? Is it a browser form?
No. Like,
okay.
For example, on I have work orders and things like that, or tickets. And I just have to click on this thing to grab all the detail in there. What I wanted to do was just grab everything that was in that and stick it in the regular ticket, so I have it all there.
Yeah.
But to have control over the interface when you're newbie is very difficult.
Yeah, I think I saw the script you're talking about. At one point, you shared it with me, and you shared it in the chat earlier. It's a very general script, one that works in a lot of cases.
Correct. So, for example, my work order, you can see the work order one there. If you don't have it just loop 17 times, you can break down your computer.
Yeah.
Which has been done. So that's what I'm doing. Like those type of things where, you know, I know what I want to do, I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, that's the one you have there is very near to how you would do it manually, where most of us have all started, at least people who haven't been programmers before. We start by sending the same keystrokes that we would normally do. And the one you have there, it has that type of functionality. It's sending home plus shift end, so it's copying an entire field or an entire line, or it's selecting it at least, and then it's copying it to the clipboard. That's all what the code is saying. So you simply need to know what each line does to do the same thing as you would manually. Then he checks the clipboard for specific values, and depending on those values, he decides if the script is going to loop once more, and thereby trying to make sure that you copy each field in a form. But
right. I mean, the idea was simple, but it's very useful once someone sees it. They're like, "Holy cow, look at that!" You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely can be, right? Especially on what you're working on. If it's always the same thing over and over, right? It's easy. The other thing I'd say though is, depending on the program and tool you're using, regardless of, I mean, a lot of things nowadays are browser-based, right? So, and if it is browser-based, and even if it's not, you might be able to use COM, which can programmatically really accurately do what you want, right? But let's say it's not a browser and you can't use COM, which some programs allow. Let's say it doesn't. The things we mentioned earlier, the Windows messages and what are they called, controls and other things, you can sometimes still hook in that way. And to Jackie's point earlier, like sending keystrokes, it's, you know, like for me, it's my fallback, right? It's generally speaking, often they'll be reliable, but it's not my go-to because I'd rather have a way to programmatically interact with something than sending keystrokes.
Yeah, there's so many times that sending keystrokes will just cause more issue than good.
Right, but I mean, I wouldn't even know that. What is COM? What is that?
It's a component object module out of from Microsoft. It's I think of it as like the backbone to almost any Microsoft program, but even non-Microsoft programs have built it in. And basically, if you know VBA, right, you can, like with VBA, the way with AutoHotkey you interface with it is the syntax itself is very similar to what you would write in VBA often. And for things in a browser, so you unfortunately, well, up until recently, you had to use IE because Chrome and Firefox don't have COM built into it. However, a few months ago, Selenium, I saw that and I was posting with it, and now I was able to reliably drive Chrome and Firefox and get data from it. So it's no longer necessarily a restriction to use IE, but hey, you know, it gets back to if you're automating it, what do you care what browser you're using, right?
Right.
Yeah, IE is so much more AHK friendly. It's not even. Yeah, if you can use it, use it.
And there is, I mean, I will be the first to agree that, like, outside of COM, there's not a lot of great tutorials that I've seen, at least, for using the other stuff. I have seen stuff from Raptor X of some videos talking about how to use it, but there's not a lot on the other stuff, and to me it was really confusing when I'm not being a programmer.
I don't know if you've ever approached him. He's a very approachable guy, very nice. So, anyways, I digress.
Who's that?
Raptor X.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. I've talked to him at length.
Yeah, he's really sharp, and this stuff you have here looks very powerful. That's in his league. I mean, that's a big time league of your ability to do those things. It's just what would I use it? How would I use it? It's like having a pair of boxing gloves and not know how to box. You know, I mean, stuff. So.
What are you referring to there? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know enough about what I want. You know, and the only thing I can relate to is using keystrokes to get what I want instead of,
right.
You know, or playing, you know, I've been using, trying to learn regex, using it, I can use it in, you know, that's, you just
For regex, by the way, Jackie showed me this one. Let me go back to share my screen here. This site, regex101.com, it comes closest from, and I'll let Jackie finish my sentence here, but matching the patterns that you build here will match in AutoHotkey what you'll actually need really closely.
Yeah, it's because you can pick the flavor PCRE or the Perl version that we are using in AutoHotkey, or they've picked when they built in regex once upon a time. So it's nice. It's just as if someone built a regex tester in AutoHotkey, but this one is just online, so you can access it from anywhere.
So StarW, yeah, I mean, I was just doing some stuff today with. I'd rather use AutoHotkey to do it than Pen++, but we do what we can.
Yeah, I'd say what you talked about just before with starting with sending keystrokes and stuff. As I said, most of us that haven't had any programming background, we start out there, and then we use that for some time, and then we keep looking at either the forum or the documentation or whatever, and figure out that, hey, I could actually grab a specific field with another command, like one of the control commands. So instead of sending an actual copy message, you would just tell the computer that you wanted the value from one specific field. And then if you get that working, that's trial and error most of the time. Then you might, at some point in your journey, figure out that, hey, there's another command that does it even better. And that's how we have built the skill to do how we're doing it now. Whereas you could also jump in at one of the more advanced versions and just try and make that work. But I can't say what's the best way of learning it, but it is the way that I think most of the people in the AutoHotkey community have learned it, is by simply starting with the closest to doing it manually, and then slowly building more and more automation into their daily day.
The other thing I'd mention, one is I learned up until about 2 years ago, before Jackie and I were talking, I learned virtually everything from the AutoHotkey forum. And I have no background in programming, nothing, right? And I was learning all the stuff, especially with using COM and web scraping, from the forum posts. And my learning was very slow and painful. And then I started it's kind of how Jackie and I started talking, was I realized often he was actually the person that would, on the forum, that would answer my question. And then I happened to see he had a website. And so I dropped him a note and just said, thank you so much for all the help, because they're not getting paid, right? I mean, it's to me, crazy. But bless you, Jackie. So him and I started talking, and then we started having somewhat frequent calls with Hangouts. And honestly, that's what I wanted to emphasize. Like, look, if you can find someone that's a bit above you, that you can say, hey, I'm trying to learn this. And you can sit at, like we're doing now, and have a Q&A of like, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. And they can literally show you and look at your code and interact with each other, instead of just posting back and forth, which makes it really hard to learn and to really understand. Like when I'm doing stuff with either Chad or Jackie, I'm like, what did you just do there? Like what, they'll do something. I'm like, I didn't realize, I didn't know what that function did, or how you could call a command in a certain way. And it really, really, I mean, I jump light years ahead when I do that. And back to Jackie's point earlier, on a web page, right, you could come in here and you could hit tab, 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 and then send keystrokes, right? Which, of course, will fairly often work pretty accurately. But then with COM, this is a little tool that you can use. You can realize, like, look, I'm going to grab, oh, look, there's this, and this is the value, right, that I typed. But this tool helps you understand the DOM structure, and how you could actually get, like, actually the name of it is keywords, right? The idea is keywords. How I could programmatically fill this space without hitting any tabs, without doing anything. I can programmatically set that value and even hit search or submit or reset, right? And
yeah, and where it gets interesting is that when you get this functionality working, this window doesn't even need to be visible anymore.
True.
So you can work on something else while it's fetching all of the values for or pasting them in.
That's an excellent point. Yeah.
That's one of the powers of COM, at least, is that when you finally get it working, you can hide it all away. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
So is COM going to be? It just helps you how to set up AutoHotkey?
No, it's an add-on to it, and it is some functionality. It was a functionality that was added in later, and it's just the model of how to, what would you say, how to implement different methods and properties and stuff within a program, so other programs can easily control them. And so it is simply a scaffold or wrapping around other programs, and because they've built it into AutoHotkey, we can now access other programming interfaces. And that's what we are getting here. And we are talking a lot about this because that's the level we are currently at. And that's what we are using a lot. But it is a quite advanced topic. So it might not be where you should focus at the moment. Right. Not that I'm saying you couldn't, but...
You had that web learner, what was that?
That's an AutoHotkey, a program written in AutoHotkey that just helps you evaluate a web page and look at like the backbone of the DOM, which is a whole nother. It really is, to Jackie's point, like it's not overwhelming, but man, it's an incredibly large overall topic. But you know, I mean, nowadays, that's what I was saying earlier. So much of what I do in one way or another, I can access the system via some sort of a web page, which means instantly now I can actually automate because I can control IE. I can automate it, you know, regardless of what software it is, because I'm using a browser to actually access it.
Boy, that's cool. Yeah. That's way down the road for me. But
yeah, and by the way, I mean, there is this post here in the forum. I have two. There's Jethro and this Mickers. Was my go-to. I reread this one over and over and over. This is the DOM, the structure of the DOM of how you understand that, and it's got some great stuff. And then I have on my site, at one of my tabs is web scraping, and here are some, you know, somewhat ordered entry, and here are some other links. Actually, I think I linked back to the, at least I used to, back to Jethro's post. Yeah, maybe it's here. And there's some videos on understanding the DOM and some intro to web scraping, and then I know Jackie has some on his site as well.
Yeah, some of my most popular posts. Those are also on.
Yeah, and then down here are like examples where I didn't actually give the code. I was just posting what I had done to make you realize, like, I have at my company, we have two different systems that don't talk to each other, and so people manually have to log into one and look at it, and then log into the other and transfer it. And I wrote a script that does all of that, and it saved me, you know, after I got it done, it saved me, you know, 8 hours a week every week. And it was just, besides it was mundane, mind-numbing work, right? It's really amazing what you can do.
Well, I got to start somewhere. I still have to learn more about routers and that all.
Yep.
You know, that's a lot to do too. It's enormous.
Well, and that's the other thing is what I've been helping people here and there. They'll ask me questions. I'm like, you know, actually, I have a post somewhere talking about, hey, when you use the forum, but when you use the AutoHotkey forum, don't post a question saying, hey, how do I click a button, right?
Right.
Make sure you want to search the forum first, see if someone's answered the question already. And then when you do have a real question, hey, if you can, if it's a public URL, give them the URL, say, I'm trying to click this button. Here is the code, and if you have thousands of lines, you know, only give them the relevant stuff that is applicable to what you're trying to solve, and ask specific questions. And I got to say, I mean, I haven't been on that many different forums, but the people on the AutoHotkey forum are amazing at how much they'll help you. And I went over 2 years without ever posting a question, of just reading it. And that was one of the other things that I really look back and go, that was stupid, right? I was just afraid to post a question because I'd look dumb, right? And it's like, hey, that's what the people are trying to do, is to help you.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Just learning it is very difficult. I mean, when you got all the, I mean, it helps me do the job, but there's so many other things to do.
it is, yeah, it is overwhelming.
It is. It's just a monster subject.
Yeah.
But, you know, I want to thank you for doing this stuff. I'll start looking at what you got here. I just put your, I have a link on Facebook. I got 4 million friends.
Cool.
On there. And, I know there are some people that use AutoHotkey, so you know, and you know, send me your links to, because I'll be more than happy to put them up there. All right.
Cool.
So 3,900 people, you know, it's a lot of people.
What surprised me was, for a while I was attending several Python meetups every month, and I got to know, I'd say, at least 10 people who were really serious Python programmers. That's what they did for a living too, right? These were hardcore programmers that really used Python. And what was amazing to me was every one of them I'd say, yeah, well, I've been using this tool AutoHotkey. Oh, I know AutoHotkey. I used to use that, blah, blah. I'm like, wow, I was really surprised that many people actually knew about AutoHotkey and at one point had used it, but usually they were like, they'd use it for a bit and then for some reason stopped using it, which amazed me.
I don't think they understood that. I had it for 3 or 4 years on my computer before I even started looking at it. I was like, holy cow, I couldn't believe I could use it. So,
Hey, Joe, can I jump in with a comment?
Absolutely.
Hey, I wonder if anybody on the call is an administrator of the forum. You've mentioned the forum a couple of times, and if you've been on it the last few days, you'll know that it's under serious attack by a spammer, and it basically, this one person is almost single-handedly destroying the forum, in my opinion. He's got to be stopped, and I've been on some private messaging with at least one admin of the forum who basically says the issue is that over the years there have been many disagreements on guest posting, and it's just guest posting now has got to stop. I mean, if anything shows that that's the case, basically a single malicious poster is killing the forum now. And I'm the owner, manager, and moderator of several technology groups, and I can tell you none of this happens. I mean, you can control spam by requiring registration to become a member, by allowing only members to post, placing all new members on moderation until their first good post, and then ban any member who posts spam after that, which can only happen after a first good post, which is typically very rare. And I've got several admins worldwide to deal with allowing that first post, that first good post, and on banning members, and it works very well. And I'll tell you, if the last few days continue as is, this guy's laughing at us. I mean, one of his posts was, ha, the administrators of this forum really don't respect their users. Another was, you can't stop only one attacker. Ha, the admins of this forum are just a joke. And I'll tell you, this guy, I mean, he's really spot on here, and this has just got to stop if the forum is going to be of any use to anybody.
well, I mean,
We have had this multiple times before with people spamming this way. And on the old forum software, it wasn't allowed to guest post. It was on the former, the one before, the one that Palpatine he implemented. And I don't know why with the AHK script, which isn't the URL anymore, they decided to try with guest posting. I think it was trying to be more open to people who had a harder time maybe registering or whatever it was. But if it continues, I don't see that many guest posts anymore, so I'm not sure what the use for them are. As most of the time, people should simply just register.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine in this day and age anybody who uses the internet isn't used to being able to go to a web page and register and become a user. I mean, maybe there was a time when somebody thought that was tough, but I mean, anybody attempting to use AutoHotkey is
Right.
be able to register on it. Yeah, it's insanity to allow what's going on these past few days. It is just got to stop.
Yeah, but this user, I think I even know who he is or what his username is, or was, whatever you want to call it. He does this. I saw him doing it with his last 2 accounts. He comes in, he posts some kind of useful tutorials or videos or whatever. He stays around for 3 months, and then he deletes everything that he has done himself. He removes it so people can't see it anymore, and then he starts accusing someone of something, and then he goes away for some time. Then he comes back, starts over, maybe with a new account, because maybe the old one was banned for him acting up. If you looked at the spam as it began this time, he also started by asking to have his old account deleted. So he is simply just one angry guy, and I don't know why. maybe someone pissed him off somewhere, but I'm not sure how we can get guest posting removed or at least restricted. I know that they can IP ban, but a person can get around that.
Well, no. Who runs that site? I mean, guest posting must be an option in the whatever bulletin board software they're using, and you ought to be able to disallow any guest posting. That should be a simple checkbox. And
yeah, but it is. It is a checkbox that they have decided to put out there.
Right, I understand that. So how do I guess with I mean my take on
who do we talk to?
If you look at what this guy has posted the last few days, he's randomly generating. Hell, he's probably got an AHK script that's doing it. I mean, he's randomly generating usernames, and he's even responding to some posts rather than initiating new ones with this garbage. And we just need to find the admins. I don't know who they are, but I mean, I'm talking to one of them, a very bright guy named Joe DF, and we've been, I don't know who he is, but we've been PMing, and he basically encouraged me. He said, well, hey, write a post and go public with it to ask the folks who are the admins to
Joe is one of the admins.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what to tell you then. I mean, and he actually
clearly he's not ready to make that decision. Right.
I had made a post in the forum section of it talking about this, and he locked it. He didn't want any more debate on it, which I don't understand. And then so I PM'd him on it. He said, well, thanks for writing me privately, but now you ought to make a public post, which I tried to do, and he stopped it. So I tell you, this is it's insane.
Yeah, it's Tank. It's I think Lexicos as well, and then there's Joe DF. Those are the three admins there are, and the Tank is kind of he's not missing in action, but I think he's doing stuff sporadically or whatever you call that. And Joe DF is kind of the daily manager because Lexicos doesn't want to use his time on actually managing the website, which I kind of understand. It was a thing he said immediately when they moved over. He's allowed to have his time for himself. But I think Tank is maybe the one who has the true access. That's the only reason why I don't think that Joe DF is simply removing that tick there.
Okay. All right.
That's my guess because he is an administrator, Tank is an administrator, and Lexicos is an administrator. Uh-huh. And that's the people there are, and there don't seem to be any more levels above that. Mm-hmm. So he should be able to. But the post you made, you didn't talk about removing guest posting, as I remember.
I don't remember if I don't remember if I did in that one, but. I thought I did, but I certainly did in a private message with Joe DF. But actually, at the time, guest posting is, I guess, been the problem all along, and I would have realized that. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not sure. And he did lock that thread, although it should still be visible, but.
I think the reason that guest posting was re-implemented was because it was there on the original forum, the one 12 years or whatever, how old AutoHotkey is about to be now. It had guest posting allowed, and then Palpatine, when he took over, he removed that ability, and some people were put off by that or found that was unneeded or whatever. A decision made by him alone. So when they actually made a separate forum, they allowed it to maybe spite him. I don't know why they actually allowed it, but I don't see the true need for it. What are people generally feeling about guest posting? I know we are not that many, but still.
Yeah, it's just okay. I mean, I've said enough already. My opinion is that there's absolutely no reason to have guest posting. None.
No, I totally see that as well.
Anyone else have a different opinion?
I would. My answer is it was. I knew I was also tempting fate when we fielded that AutoHotkey survey. Right, we asked people, hey, you know what? We're targeting people who use AutoHotkey. Please don't automate and submit, because we had $100 give a chance to win, and sure enough, I saw someone had automated stuff, so I added the CAPTCHA stuff. Unfortunately, I totally agree. Like, why would you not have that as a safeguard? There's no reason.
Isn't there a capture on guest posting? I'm just thinking out loud. I would believe there was. Normally, they implement that kind of functionality.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it's possible the guy was clever enough to write something that got around the CAPTCHA stuff.
My guess is that he's just petty enough to sit there and do it himself.
Well,
really,
if he is, he's been blowing a lot of time the last few days. I would think he's got better things to do. But
no, that's the thing with this guy. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I've seen him before. He's used a lot of time on trying to help with stuff that maybe doesn't hit the mark completely, which isn't his fault. He's trying, but I think he has a lot of time on his hands.
But this stuff is really vulgar. I mean, when you take a look at the post, it's it's 4-letter words, and it's putting a bullet in somebody's head, and it's effing somebody's mother, and I mean this is horrible.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Have you not been on the forum? Joe, just go take a look on the last couple days. Look at the posts. I mean, this is criminal-like behavior. Talking about putting a bullet in somebody's head and
really. Holy cow. Oh, I didn't understand that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't actually go to the forum that often anymore.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic forum, and
it is.
I get an enormous amount of help from Jackie on it. Although I still would like you to explain someday the BHM moniker. But I'm sure there's a good reason for that.
I'll tell you on the side. I know the story.
Okay, but I mean, there are some unbelievably smart guys in this. I mean, obviously Lexicos posts occasionally, and that JNIZMN or whatever it is. I can never understand why people just don't use their names on these things. It drives me bonkers. I've always posted as Joe Winograd and everything I do. I mean, I don't. People go with all these monikers, but in any event, there's so many smart people there, and they're so helpful. Yeah. And this guy is just destroying the forum, and it tears my heart out to see this happen. And on top of which, I mean, the posts are actually disturbing. I mean, they're very disturbing. That this guy's clearly mentally unsound. I mean, he's got a real problem.
But I think it is good grounds for truly starting a discussion in one of the subforums about removing guest posting, because there doesn't seem to be that many people that are for it. So it could even be a poll. So you can actually get people to vote on guest posting or not. That should be easy enough to do. And I don't know why Joe DF, he actually closed the topic that you had or locked it, but I think he just didn't want to stir up something. I'm not sure why he actually locked it, because when I read that he was locking it, I had the same feeling as you. Why are you locking it? Okay, I had nothing to really do with it, so it's just like, okay, fine, he's locking it.
I'm happy to. Great, I guess I'll go look at one, but I know I can trust you guys to start a thread on it, right? And you guys, or you start one, and I'll chime in after. I mean, maybe it is just a matter of getting several people to say, hey, let's stop the guest posts. Stop the madness.
Go ahead. I mean, I haven't written one on that yet, but I mean, I started with that one that they locked. Although you're right, I was just reviewing it, and it's not. At the time, it wasn't clear to me that it was because of guest posting. My original comment was simply, is anyone working on blocking these posts? And that was when, the original spate of them was, dear tank, stinky little pig. And then, of course, it went on to talk about effing his mother and stuff like that. And, and I miss your mom and I'm going to put a bullet in your head kind of stuff, followed on. But, then,
Wow.
Well, one guy extra had a cute comment. He said, this is what happens when someone forgot to take their meds.
Yeah, and I the thing is, I'm pretty sure because we have had spam through the last 10 years or something, and it comes in groups or whatever you'd call it, or at least it gets through because someone has figured out some way to get through whatever means are in there, and they don't tell us, the public, what kinds of measures they've put in to stop it. But at least it's been quite low up until this guy, and that's why I'm kind of feeling that he's actually doing it manually, because that's the hardest one to actually block. If he's actually sitting there filling out the capture and stuff like that, and using some kind of software to change his IP as well, then it's almost impossible unless you remove guest posting.
I mean, I guess it's possible, but I'm looking at one now. It's a timestamp of 3:30, and it's his usual post. In fact, his ID now. So the new topic is by, and the name of his user ID is "Let's fuck P3 Trius mom since your last visit," and then the post itself is P3 Trust, whatever it is LOLing while I quickly bang his mommy and blah. I mean, you don't have to read all this crap. But then the next one comes in at 3:31. Now, could he have been, and the same thing, with basically the same post by the same ridiculous, user ID and the same comment. Now, I suppose, Jackie, you could be right that he was sitting there and, 1 minute apart, he's doing his posting, but it almost smells automated to me. I don't know.
I'd say the ones we have seen that were automated, then it would be 3 pages of the same post within the same minute. So the slowness of his post is kind of telling me that unless he has built something in that makes it slower, but still.
Yeah. I just
put
a link in the chat. I just created a thing about stopping guest posts. So if anyone wants to tag along in there, maybe it'll get some notice.
All right, good. Thanks for doing that, Joe. That's good.
Yeah. I had no idea. Yeah. As much as I love the forum, I've just been really busy and I don't go to it that often. I mean, I get, I subscribe to certain things and get updates to those.
Yeah. Couldn't you have made a poll, Joe?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll work on it.
Hey guys, well, I for one have really enjoyed this webinar. I'm going to drop off now. I certainly hope to be on others. And Jackie, I think you said in one of the private messages that you'll be sending out a link to the video so we can go back and review it. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and we'll include links to the other things that we mentioned during the call, right?
That's good.
I know I saw a couple people ask about other, AutoHotkey type, anything that can help. So we'll expand it, even if we didn't necessarily cover it in this webinar. We'll put in some helpful links. And actually, anyone who's still on the call, if you guys have stuff that you think is, one is a good topic, right, of stuff that you want to learn or think that we should cover, or 2 is if you have links to other things like Stack Overflow or something where Reddit, where they're good resources that we don't know, we may not know about. So send them on and we can share them with everybody. It'd be awesome.
Hey, so I just noticed in the guest chat that one of the really bright guys on the forum that I look at every post he makes, a fellow named Capn Odin, dyslexic as I recollect and brilliant, just post that he's against spam but not guest posting. And I guess Capn Odin, if you're still on, can you tell us what you have but against blocking guest posting? I guess he's not there.
He might be there, but he might not have a microphone, and
Well,
it takes
maybe.
time to type.
Anyway.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
muted.
He's muted. Yeah, he didn't unmute himself. But fair enough. But let's wait and see if he doesn't type an answer. He most likely does.
I'm against not allowing new people to post things without making an online personality.
That's fair enough.
So just to be clear, are you saying you would like to allow people to guest post in the forum?
I think new people who don't know AutoHotkey should be allowed to guest post, yeah.
And so then how would you propose, if you allow a guest post, somebody who doesn't register and we don't moderate their posts, how are you going to stop the spam?
I live in an idyllic world. I don't believe in those people. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah, it's unfortunately, very sadly, it's not an idyllic world, and I've been involved in lots of forums, and it just there's no stopping the bad folks unless you stop them, and it's just, and we're seeing that now. And Jackie, you're right in terms of it. It seems to come in spates. I mean, I remember there was a while ago, I don't know, it seems a few months ago, where all these posts came in. It looked like I don't even know what language it was. I think it might have been Farsi. It was some very strange, to me strange, but an unusual font that with all these spam messages, and then it stopped after a while. And I suppose maybe if this guy gets tired of doing this, so we just ride it out over whether it's a few days or a few weeks. But I have seen postings like this ultimately bring down groups. People just decided they weren't going to listen to this horrendous talk and dropped out of the forum.
So Joe, you might be interested, Joe, that sync phase just locked your thread, points back to another thread, says that's where the admins are handling it, yet that thread is locked as well.
Have we tried using some sort of word list to filter out the messages?
I'm pretty sure
you can do that with PHPBB. I don't know that they have it enabled, but you can put all the keywords you want in it. Problem is when you run it together and don't spell things right, you can still get around those pretty easily.
Yeah, I recollect this particular poster put some periods after the F, the U, the C, and the K, and so I mean, you can do stuff like that to get around it. So, but okay.
That is interesting that they did that though, just now on mine, right? I mean,
so yours is locked. I didn't notice that. Let's see.
Yeah, at least they're active on the topic, but yeah, I'm kind of weirded out by them being so quick to actually
block it.
Block yours.
What the hell?
And SyncForce, it doesn't usually act that quickly on stuff like that. But yeah, okay, it's maybe because it's getting so much attention.
Okay. So let's give it a little bit of time. Maybe they're actively actually making decisions on what they're going to do, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because they're normal. I was a spam officer on the old forum, so I had a short window where I had access to the forums on the back end, and they post stuff to a topic and discusses like someone asking for help in the forum. So they ain't that necessarily quickly to decide something because people take their time on answering, just like every other post on the forum. So if someone has actually posted something on the admin forum, they're most likely discussing what they're going to do, and that takes time. Of course it does, and maybe one of them has an idea that they can block it without actually removing guest posting, and they're maybe behind the scenes trying to implement something right now. We don't know.
Hey Joe, what forum did you post that in?
Forum issues, I figured was.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's where I posted. All right, good. I'm gonna go look.
Who's the big typer? Getting a lot of typing noise.
Yeah, sorry guys, that's me. I forgot to mute.
Yeah,
Who types anymore? Don't you have a hot string?
Yeah, not for a personal email.
Fair enough. Okay, so we can't actually do any more, but I like the tenacity of people to your thread. By the way, Joe, good amount of people actually seconding that, and then maybe still someone from our chat here now using a guest post to just say they didn't agree, which is fine. It's great that people don't agree on it. We just need something to happen, and I'd say maybe just wait it out. I think he'll run out of juice, this guy.
I see that actually SyncPhase put a link to my post in there as well.
Yeah, your post,
which is also locked.
Yeah, exactly. And you have a talk going on with Joe DF, so you're probably the closest to the most knowledgeable of us.
Yeah, but Joe DF told him to go post saying to stop guest posts.
Yeah, but that's because Joe DF, he doesn't want to take any decisions anymore because he has done wrong a couple of times. So I think he's afraid of doing anything without having.
Now, who in the world would be afraid of Tank?
Yeah.
All right.
At least.
Well, clearly not our guest.
No.
Ouch. Good point.
Ouch. Yeah, that one's good. Yeah. At least they removed the Facebook links and stuff he was putting in there, his first posts, where he was trying to link to Tank's actual Facebook feed, which was also just appalling if he doesn't want everybody to have that. I can't remember. It might actually be in his profile. I can't remember. Anybody remember if what? Someone was saying something. I don't know. Administrators. He should be in there. Okay. So Chris. Yeah, Chris. He is the ultimate power. Well, that's at least what they put in there. What does he have in here? He doesn't actually have that much, but he does have a link to the Facebook page, not his own Facebook page, but still. Yeah, what are you all doing now? I feel I'm just talking.
I don't know. I have a call here in 12 minutes that I got to jump on.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to drop off. This is Joe Wintergrass saying so long to you guys. Thanks so much for pulling this together. Look forward to the next one.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Hey, take care, guys.
Ciao. Yeah. Bye. I'll also go to bed soon. It's almost midnight here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone else, I think, has anything else to say. Chad, you still there? I see you're on the screen, but
I'm here.
Good job, man. It was kind of hard to tell overall feedback, but I mean, just watching it again, that's an impressive tool.
Yeah, like I just posted my email address in the chat, so like if anybody has any questions about AutoHotkey Studio or general questions about AutoHotkey, I'm not, the best person in the world, but I may be able to fumble my way through it and help you out.
Bye,
Goodbye.
Jackie. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk.
Yeah. I'm going to actually run. I guess I'll shut down the. And I guess I'll hit stop. Did I hit stop recording? I can't remember. But
no, it's recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
That was
fun. Having you here. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. You
Bye.
too. Bye.